Why, when you are rich, don't tell anyone? What if I told you that suddenly becoming rich is one of the most dangerous things that happen to you? You'd think I'm crazy, right? But here's the terrifying reality. 70% of lottery winners go broke within 5 years. People who get huge inheritances, successful entrepreneurs who cash out, sudden millionaires, most of them lose it all within a few years. Look, this isn't about bad luck. It's about making the same predictable mistakes that destroy wealth faster than you can imagine. I've watched it happen over and over again. Good people, hardworking folks, suddenly sitting on life-changing money and then completely destroying their lives because they didn't know these 7 rules. Here's what's crazy. These aren't complicated financial strategies or secret investment tricks. These are simple principles that separate people who stay rich from people who lose everything. The wealthy know these rules instinctively, but most people, they do the exact opposite and wonder why their fortune disappears. So, whether you're about to win the lottery, sell a business, get an inheritance, or suddenly find yourself with more money than you've ever had, pay attention. These 7 rules could be the difference between building generational wealth and going broke in 2 years. Drop a comment right now and tell me, stealth wealth. Let's get into it. Number 1, tell no one. Stay stealth rich. Look, I know the first thing you want to do when you suddenly become rich is tell everyone. You want to call your friends, post something subtle on social media, maybe drive by your old boss's house in something nice. I get it. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you announce your wealth, you become a target. Privacy isn't just a nice to have when you're rich. It's your most valuable asset. You want to be what the truly wealthy call stealth rich. The opposite of this? It's financial suicide. Let me tell you about Jack Whitaker. In 2002, he won $315 million in the Powerball, the largest jackpot ever won by a single ticket at the time. Jack did everything wrong. He went around telling everyone, became famous for giving money to strangers who asked, donated millions to his church, and bought friends new cars and houses. Sounds like a good guy, right? Maybe a little naive, but his heart was in the right place. Here's what actually happened. His wife divorced him, his friends abandoned him, and his granddaughter, whom he spoiled with money, tragically died from an overdose. Jack later admitted that being too much of a nice guy destroyed both his fortune and his family. He went from $315 million to broke and alone. But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference between people who keep wealth and people who lose it all. There's an ancient biblical parable about a rich fool who had so much wealth that he said to himself, "I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and I'll store all my grain and goods there. Then I'll say to my soul, you have plenty of good things laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry." But that very night, he died. All his wealth, all his showing off, gone in an instant. The lesson? When you announce your wealth, you're not just inviting congratulations. You're inviting robbery, lawsuits, blackmail, and scams. People descend like vultures. They say money changes people, but I've learned that money just reveals who people really were all along. Here's your actionable step. Tell only one person, an attorney who specializes in trust and estate planning. Set up a trust immediately. This saves you millions in taxes and creates a healthy layer of privacy between you and the world. Live like you make $20,000 less than you actually do. Let everyone think you're doing okay while you build real security in silence. Here's a quick story that stuck with me. I once met a millionaire at a gas station filling up a 15-year-old Honda Civic. Someone recognized him from a business article and asked why he didn't drive something nicer. He smiled and said, "Real wealth whispers while fake wealth shouts. This Honda lets me stay invisible while my investments grow louder than any Lamborghini ever could." The wisdom here is simple. The truly wealthy don't need to prove anything to anyone. Your bank account knows the truth. That's all that matters. Wait. There's something you need to pay attention to if you don't want to lose everything. Be honest. If you suddenly got rich tomorrow, would you be able to keep it quiet? Or would you tell at least one friend? Drop a 1 if you'd stay silent, or a 2 if you'd have to tell someone. Let's see how many of us could actually do this. Number 2, don't quit working. Quit your job. Here's where most people get it completely wrong. They think that suddenly becoming rich means immediately quitting everything and living on a beach somewhere. But let me tell you something that nobody wants to hear. Being rich and bored is one of the most dangerous situations you can be in. When people quit working entirely, all they have to think about 24/7 is how they're going to spend their money. I've watched this happen over and over again. They start random businesses they know nothing about because they're bored and now have the money to do it. Some people even buy restaurants and end up on Gordon Ramsay's kitchen nightmares. No joke, that's how bad it gets. There's ancient wisdom that says, idle hands are the devil's workshop. When you have nothing productive to do, your mind starts finding creative ways to waste money. You convince yourself that investing in your cousin's cryptocurrency startup is a good idea. You think buying a vineyard sounds romantic. You're not making good decisions. You're just filling time. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people. The way I've always thought about it is simple. If you're working, you're not spending. Work gives you structure, purpose, and most importantly, it keeps your mind occupied with something other than finding ways to blow through your fortune. Now, I'm not saying you should stay in a job you hate. If your boss is a nightmare, and you've been dreaming of that dramatic exit, go ahead, quit that job. Wait for the perfect moment when they're pulling a power trip, then walk out gloriously. But here's the key. Find another job you actually enjoy, or start a passion project, or volunteer somewhere meaningful. Keep your life as normal as possible for at least 6 months. You need time to process having all this money without giving in to the temptation of spending it all. Here's a story that changed my perspective. A lottery winner quit his job immediately, spent 2 months doing nothing, and ended up depressed and starting a bar he knew nothing about. Within a year, the bar failed and took $500,000 with it. Later, he told me, I wasn't investing in a business. I was just buying something to do. The principle here is straightforward. Purpose protects wealth better than any financial advisor ever could. When you have meaningful work, even if you don't need the paycheck, you make better decisions with your money because you're not desperately trying to find meaning through spending. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between staying rich and going broke within 5 years. Number 3, eliminate high-interest debt immediately. You might be thinking, why should I worry about a little debt when I'm sitting on all this money? I could pay it off anytime I want. That's exactly the kind of thinking that destroys fortunes faster than you'd believe. Here's the truth. Keeping debt while you have money is like having a hole in your boat while you're bailing water out with a bucket. You might feel like you're handling it, but that hole is getting bigger every single day, and eventually it's going to sink you. High-interest debt, I'm talking credit cards at 20 to 30%, personal loans, car loans, these are financial cancer. They eat away at your wealth faster than almost anything else. If you're carrying $50,000 in credit card debt at 22% interest, that's $11,000 per year vanishing into thin air. That's not money you're spending on something you enjoy, that's pure waste. There's ancient Babylonian wisdom that says the debtor is servant to the lender. Think about what that really means. Every month you owe money, you're not truly free. You're working for someone else, making them rich while your own fortune slowly bleeds out. Don't jump to conclusions, because what comes next can change your perspective completely. Focus on paying back your highest interest rate debts first. Credit cards are the main culprit. They need to go immediately. Then tackle personal loans and car loans if the rates are high. Now, here's where people make a mistake. Mortgages. Paying off their house is often the first thing people do after becoming rich. But if you have a mortgage at 2 to 3% interest, it might actually be smarter to keep it and invest the money instead. Why? Because you should be able to get better returns from investments that will offset what that cheap debt is costing you. Here's your actionable step. Make a list of every debt you have, ordered by interest rate from highest to lowest. Attack that top one like your life depends on it. Paying off high-interest debt gives you a guaranteed return, unlike investing, which can go up and down. Use this sudden wealth as a reset button, and once you're out of debt, promise yourself you'll never fall back into that cycle again. Let me share a quick story. I knew a man who won $2 million and immediately wanted to buy a Porsche. Instead, his attorney convinced him to pay off $100,000 in various debts first. He told me later, driving away from that last payment felt better than any sports car ever could. I finally felt like the money was actually mine. The principle is this: debt is a chain. Even when you're rich, break the chain first, then you're truly free to build wealth that lasts. It sounds simple, but the hardest part is what's about to be told next. Here's a question that might sting a little. Are you keeping debt right now that you could technically pay off if you really wanted to? Type guilty if that's you. No judgment, just want to see how common this is. Number 4, never lend money to friends, family. This is where things get really uncomfortable, but stay with me because this might be the most important rule of all. The moment people find out you have money, even if you've been stealth about it, some will figure it out. They start coming out of the woodwork. Friends you haven't talked to in years suddenly want to catch up. Family members you barely know have investment opportunities they need your help with. Your closest friends start having emergencies that only your money can solve. Here's what nobody tells you. When you become rich suddenly, the people closest to you often feel entitled to a share of it. In their minds, you didn't earn it through honest hard work, so it's only fair that they get a piece. They'll ask for loans they never intend to pay back. They'll pitch you business ideas that are just thinly disguised requests for free money. There's an old Jewish teaching that says, neither a borrower nor a lender be, for loan oft loses both itself and friend. This is thousands of years old, and it's still true today. Trust me when I say the fastest way to lose family and friends is to lend them money. But that's just the obvious part. What I'm about to say is what makes the difference between keeping your relationships and destroying them. If you lend money, you create this weird power dynamic where you become the bank and they become the debtor. Every family dinner gets awkward. Every phone call makes them wonder if you're going to bring up the money. Resentment builds on both sides. You resent them for not paying you back, and they resent you for having money in the first place. The relationship is poisoned. Here's my simple rule, and I recommend you adopt it. If someone I care about genuinely needs help, I give them the money, not lend, give, with one condition. They can never ask me for money again. Not next month, not next year, never. This sounds harsh, but it's actually the kindest thing you can do. You help them once, you don't expect anything back, and you protect the relationship by setting a clear boundary. If you help them over and over, they'll start using you as their emergency fund. They'll be less responsible with their own money because they know you'll just bail them out again. Here's a story that illustrates this perfectly. A father loaned his son $20,000 to start a business. The business failed. The son couldn't pay him back, and they didn't speak for 3 years. The father told me, "I didn't lose $20,000. I lost my son for money that didn't even matter to me. If I had just given it to him as a gift, we'd still be talking." The wisdom principle here is powerful. Sometimes you have to be cruel to be kind. Protecting boundaries protects relationships. Don't be someone's ATM. Be someone who helps once, meaningfully, then teaches them to stand on their own. Wait, the most important part is in the following story. Number 5, never spend the principal, only the interest. When most people suddenly get rich, they still have what I call a consumer mindset. They look at the number in their bank account and immediately start thinking about all the ways they're going to spend it. The house they'll buy, the cars they'll drive, the vacations they'll take. This is exactly how lottery winners go broke within 2 years. Let me tell you a real story that perfectly illustrates this. A family friend won the lottery when his kids were young. The parents went out immediately and bought a $10 million house, a couple of sports cars, and enrolled all their kids in private school. They thought they were set for life. Only 2 years later, the dream collapsed. The kids were yanked out of private school, the sports cars were sold off, and their $10 million home was desperately listed for $6.5 million after bad renovations and crushing expenses forced them to sell. This all happened because they didn't understand the golden rule. Never spend the principal, only the interest. Think of it this way. There's an ancient parable about a goose that laid golden eggs. The farmer was getting rich slowly, one egg at a time, but he got greedy and impatient. He killed the goose, thinking he'd get all the eggs at once. Instead, he got nothing. No goose, no more eggs, just regret. And what I'm about to say is what makes the difference between temporary wealth and permanent financial freedom. You need to grow a money tree that produces new income every month, not cut it down for temporary firewood. That's where your freedom figure comes in. Here's how you calculate it. Figure out exactly how much income you need each year to live the life you want, then multiply it by 25. So if you want an annual income of $200,000, you need to invest at least $5 million of your new wealth. The idea is that you'll never touch that $5 million principal. You'll live on the $200,000 of interest it generates every year. The rule of 25 is based on a 4% safe withdrawal rate, meaning your investments should grow enough that you can take out 4% annually without ever depleting the principal. Here's your actionable step. Sit down today and calculate your exact annual expenses. Be honest, include everything, then multiply that number by 25. That's your freedom figure. That's the amount you need to invest and never touch. Everything beyond that, you can consider spending some of it. Here's a story that brings this home. A grandfather left $2 million to his grandson with a letter that said, "This is a tree, not firewood. Water it, let it grow, and never cut it down. The fruit it produces will feed you for life, but cut it down, and you'll be warm for one winter and hungry forever." The principle is crystal clear. Temporary firewood versus an eternal money tree. One gives you comfort for a season, the other gives you freedom for a lifetime. Choose wisely. But that's just the surface. What's behind it is what will startle people. What would your freedom figure be? How much annual income would let you quit your job and live the life you actually want? Don't overthink it. Just drop a number below. I'm curious to see what everyone says. Some of you might be closer than you think. Number 6. Invest wisely. Diversification is protection. The most common thing I hear from people who suddenly get money is, "Where can I find those kinds of returns? My savings account only gives me 0.5%. And that's exactly the problem. You're not going to find the interest rates you need for the rule of 25 in an ordinary bank account. You need to open an investment account. But here's where people freeze up. They're suddenly sitting on life-changing money and they have no idea where to put it. So they do nothing. They leave millions in a checking account earning basically zero, while inflation eats away at it every single day. That's not being cautious, that's being reckless. Benjamin Franklin once said, "An investment in knowledge pays the best interest." Before you invest a single dollar, you need to understand what you're investing in. But don't let that learning curve paralyze you into inaction. Let me give you an example of how I would consider investing $5 million if I suddenly received it. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, and this isn't financial advice, but this is how wealthy people think about preservation and growth. First, I'd put $1 million into a low-cost total stock market index fund. This is your long-term growth engine. It includes over 1,300 different stocks from companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Nvidia. Historically, this has averaged about 9% per year. On $1 million, that's roughly $90,000 annually. Second, I'd put $1 million into a total bond market index fund. Bonds are basically loans you give to governments or companies that pay you regular interest. They're generally safer than stocks and help stabilize your portfolio during market crashes. Bond funds have historically averaged about 4% returns, which means $40,000 per year on $1 million. Third, I'd split $1 million between residential and commercial real estate, $500,000 each. Residential real estate has historically grown at about 7% annually, while commercial properties with good tenants can generate around 8% through rental income. Do you see anything unusual? The answer is right here. I'm not putting everything in one place. This is called diversification, and it's your protection against any single investment going bad. Fourth, I'd put $500,000 into blue-chip cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Ethereum. This is your moonshot allocation. High risk, high potential reward. Treat it as 5 to 10% of your portfolio that could explode or implode, and you're mentally prepared for either outcome. Fifth, I'd keep $1 million in a high-interest savings account earning around 4 to 5%. This is your emergency fund and your sleep well at night money. It's liquid, it's safe, and it's there when you need it. Here's your actionable step. Don't try to time the market or pick individual stocks. Use low-cost index funds, diversify across different asset types, and aim for a portfolio that generates 6 to 8% annually. Set it up, automate it, and then mostly leave it alone. Let me share a quick story. I know a woman who inherited $1 million and invested it conservatively across stocks, bonds, and real estate. 10 years later, she had over $2 million, and more importantly, she slept peacefully through every market crash because she knew she was diversified. The principle here is simple. Diversification isn't about getting rich quickly. It's about staying rich for life. You're not gambling, you're protecting. Wait, the most important part is in the following story. Number 7. Spend some on freedom, not possessions. Now, if you've been paying close attention, you'll notice I haven't told you to spend anything yet. We've talked about staying quiet, keeping your job, paying off debt, protecting relationships, preserving principle, and investing wisely. So here's the part everyone's been waiting for. What can you actually spend money on? Here's the truth that took me way too long to learn. Real wealth isn't about Lamborghini or mansions or designer clothes. Those are just expensive ways to impress people who don't care about you. Real wealth is waking up every morning and deciding how you want to spend your day. It's never having to do things you don't want to do. Most lottery winners blow their money chasing possessions, not freedom. They buy the cars, the jewelry, the massive house they can't afford to maintain. And you know what happens? They end up broke and miserable, surrounded by stuff that doesn't make them happy. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who had access to unlimited wealth, wrote something profound. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. He could have had anything, but he understood that possessions don't equal freedom. All of the above will be meaningless if you miss the last detail. Here's my recommendation. Take about 10% of your windfall and call it fun money. That's your guilt-free spending account. But spend it on buying back your time, not filling your garage. Pay someone to clean your house so you have more time with family. Hire someone to handle tasks you hate. Take trips that create memories, not Instagram posts. The rich who stay rich are the ones who buy back their time. The ones who go broke are the ones who buy things to show off. Here's your actionable step. Before you spend money on anything, ask yourself this question. Am I buying freedom or am I buying stuff? If it's stuff, a fancy watch, a sports car, designer furniture, really think hard about whether you need it. If it's freedom, hiring help, reducing your work hours, spending time on what matters, that's money well spent. Let me tell you a story that changed everything for me. A billionaire was once asked, "How much money is enough?" He answered, "Just a little bit more." He spent his entire life chasing that little bit more, buying bigger houses and fancier toys. He died with billions in the bank and zero close relationships. His kids fought over the money at his funeral. Here's the wisdom that story taught me. Money is a tool for freedom, not a scoreboard for success. Use it to buy options, not obligations. Use it to buy time with people you love, not things that impress people you don't. The truly wealthy understand this. Once you've secured your freedom figure and invested wisely, the best thing money can buy is the ability to say no to things you don't want to do and yes to things that actually matter. If you had an extra $100,000 to spend on anything right now, what would you buy? Be completely honest. Would it be freedom, time, health, experiences, or stuff, car, jewelry, house upgrade? Comment either freedom or stuff and tell me what specifically. This is going to be interesting. So here's where we stand. You now know the 7 rules that separate people who stay rich from people who lose it all. Stay stealth rich and tell no one. Keep working at something meaningful. Eliminate high-interest debt immediately. Never lend money to friends or family. Never spend the principal, only the interest. Invest wisely with diversification. And spend money on freedom, not possessions. But knowing these rules isn't enough. The real question is, what are you going to do with this information? Here's my challenge to you. Pick one of these 7 rules and commit to following it starting today, even if you're not rich yet. These principles work at any income level. They're not just for lottery winners. They're for anyone who wants to build and protect wealth. Comment stealth wealth right now if you commit to staying quiet when success comes your way. Let me see who's really ready to do this differently than everyone else. And if there's a money topic you want me to break down next, investing for beginners, building multiple income streams, or how millionaires actually think, drop that in the comments too. Remember this, real wealth isn't about what you show the world. It's about the freedom you give yourself. Build in silence, live in peace, and let your success speak through your freedom, not your possessions. Your future self is counting on the decisions you make today.